Sheriff Ben Mason stood at the edge of the forest, his breath forming clouds in the crisp morning air. The dense woods of Cascade Springs, a small mountain town nestled in the Washington State Mountains, were usually a source of solace and beauty. But today, they loomed ominously. Reports of missing children had trickled in over the past month, and last night's sighting had confirmed the townsfolk's worst fears. Something monstrous lurked in those shadows. "Do you really think it's true, Sheriff?" Deputy Mark Tanner asked, his voice a mix of skepticism and fear. "Bigfoot?" Ben nodded grimly. "The footprints we found last night match the old legends. Huge, humanoid, and not anything a bear or any other known animal would leave behind." The two men walked back to the sheriff's office where a small crowd had gathered, their faces etched with worry. The children of Cascade Springs were the heartbeat of the town, and their safety was paramount. Ben could see the anxiety in the eyes of parents, the doubt, and the fear. "We'll hold a meeting," Ben announced, stepping into the office. "We need to organize a search party and ensure everyone's prepared. These creatures are hostile and cunning. We have to be smarter." Inside the town hall, the atmosphere was tense. Ben stood before the townspeople, his deputies flanking him. "Last night, we found tracks leading deep into the forest. We believe a group of Bigfoot is responsible for the recent disappearances. They seem to be targeting our children. We must act now to protect them." Murmurs of disbelief and fear rippled through the crowd. The tales of Bigfoot had always been folklore, stories told around campfires, but now they were confronted with a terrifying reality. "We'll organize into search parties," Ben continued. "Deputies will lead each group. We'll be armed and cautious. Our priority is the safety of our children and bringing them home." The townspeople, though frightened, volunteered readily. Parents, hunters, and even the elderly who knew the forest well, all stepped forward. Ben divided them into teams, each one equipped with radios, flashlights, and firearms. As dusk approached, the search parties fanned out into the forest. Ben led the main group, consisting of Deputy Mark Tanner, local hunter Jake Thompson, and a few determined parents. The forest, usually filled with the sounds of wildlife, was eerily silent. Hours passed with no sign of the creatures or the missing children. Frustration and fear mounted, but Ben urged them to press on. They followed the tracks deeper into the woods, the path becoming more treacherous and overgrown. Suddenly, a distant scream pierced the silence. Ben's heart raced. That came from the north. "Move quickly, but stay alert." They hurried through the dense underbrush, the scream echoing in their ears. They reached a clearing where they found the source of the noise, a trap set by the Bigfoot. A young boy, no more than 10, was caught in a net hanging from a tree. His face was streaked with tears, but he was alive. "Hang on, buddy," Ben called out. "We'll get you down." Jake climbed the tree with practiced ease, cutting the boy free. As they lowered him safely to the ground, the sound of heavy footsteps approached. The group tensed, weapons at the ready. Emerging from the shadows were the creatures. Massive, towering over even the tallest man, with matted fur and eyes that glowed with an unsettling intelligence. There were 5 of them, and they did not look pleased. "Stand your ground," Ben shouted, raising his rifle. "Fire only if they attack." For a moment, there was a standoff. The Bigfoot seemed to study them, their breaths visible in the cold air. Then, with a roar, the lead creature charged. Gunshots rang out, and the clearing erupted into chaos. The townspeople fought valiantly, but the Bigfoot were strong and swift. Jake was swatted aside, his rifle flying from his hands. Ben fired at the lead creature, hitting it in the shoulder, but it only seemed to enrage it further. Deputy Tanner was grappling with another creature, struggling to keep its claws at bay. Ben aimed carefully and shot, hitting the Bigfoot in the chest. It stumbled and fell, but another took its place immediately. The battle raged on, with both sides taking casualties. Several townspeople were injured, and 2 lay dead. But they fought with a fierce determination, protecting their home and their children. As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, the tide began to turn. The Bigfoot, now down to 2, seemed to realize they were outmatched. With a final roar, they retreated into the forest, leaving behind their fallen comrades. Ben and his group, battered and bruised, gathered their wounded and made their way back to town. They carried the bodies of their fallen friends, their hearts heavy with sorrow and relief. The town hailed them as heroes, but the victory was bittersweet. They had lost good people, and the memory of the battle would linger. The children who had been taken were rescued, and the town began to heal. In the weeks that followed, Ben and his deputies patrolled the forest regularly, ensuring the creatures would not return. They fortified the town and held a memorial for those who had sacrificed their lives. Cascade Springs was forever changed, but they had faced their fears and defended their home. Ben stood at the edge of the forest once more, looking out over the trees. The legends of Bigfoot were no longer just stories, they were a part of their history, a reminder of the bravery and resilience of a small mountain town.